What is up? It is Dave. It is Duncan back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from LA-based industrial rock band Health. The band's new album, Conflict DLC, will be released on December 11th via Loma Vista Recordings. As the world becomes increasingly preposterous, Hell's music sounds less like a hostile future dystopia and more like a sane response to reality. Their fifth album, Rat Wars, builds the downward spiral for people with at least 2 monitors and a vitamin D deficiency.
It's literally like almost word for word what I called it, so...
Encapsulated the misery and absurdity of contemporary life by throwing every genre the band has ever worked with into a power blender. Critically acclaimed and leading to some of their biggest live shows to date, Rat Wars' hybrid sound has now become the bedrock of their follow-up project, Conflict DLC. Wrestling with existential meaninglessness in the face of unreckonable, unavoidable death is how Health vocalist Jacob Dusek describes the band's subject matter, which has been unwavering since their self-titled debut. That's kind of it. We are all trying to find some semblance of authenticity and maybe a non-miserable existence while dealing with those things. A stack of 12 full-octane industrial metal bangers, Conflict DLC refracts the band's formative influences like Ministry, Rammstein and Black Sabbath through their own maximalist lens, still doing our thing but adding new weapon types, they joke. It's produced by Rat Wars' stint, AJ Bhattacharya, taking the cinematic heaviness established on that album and pushing it into a more concentrated direction. The band also tapped Knocked Loose producer Wizard Blood, or Drew Falk is his real name, we'll just go with that, to mix the album alongside Lars Stalfors, and the two somehow perfectly balance its high contrast textures.
I believe what you're looking for as a description here is arf arf.
Stalfors steers the pulse of synth slow jams and extraterrestrial instrumentals, while Falk lends Health's aggressive side and even more monstrous dimension. While Conflict DLC may carry the ironic name of a video game add-on, the title ultimately ties in more with a wider cultural mood. Specifically, the juxtaposition of digital culture and sociological turmoil. You've got this very online phenomenon of downloadable content and patches for games, and then also the entire fucking world is at war, says Dusek. We didn't know everything was going to continually devolve when we were writing Rat Wars and its follow-up, but it has. Lyrically, the album stays in familiar territory, only this time it reflects something beyond his own interior landscape. His usual themes of depression, anxiety, and obsessive compulsion are now eerily in sync with the doom scroll of 2025. You have arrived at a point in time where staring into your phone in the dark while feeling absolutely terrified isn't an activity reserved for introverts, and the philosophically perturbed is the prevailing mode of living. I've just been struggling with my usual shit, but the personal content of the lyrics end up well timed, says Jacob. Because the state of the world has made the general public have the same issue as me. Come on in, everyone, the water's fine. There's this mainstream view right now that, everything's fucked, isn't it? Whether it's on social media or not, people are very concerned. A slate of sad bangers for the end times, Conflict DLC finds connection in the disconnect and the comfort in the dark. So, Duncan,
Yep.
Here we are again in December reviewing a Health album.
I think I moaned about this last time. So 2023 was the last album, and I think I kicked off about how inconsiderate it is for a band to release an album a week before we do our list. And like, truth be told, here as we are recording this, it's almost a week today that we'll be doing our end of year list. So and I'd drawn a line in the sand. I'd been like, this is the fucking line right here, Dave. If the new Health album does not come in by like Friday the 5th, it's just not getting included. Even if it's the best album I hear, I can't include it in my list. I need to lock that in at a certain point and take a step back for my own mental health and say that this is done. Which then started close to 3-4 week Dave Odyssey around like the entirety of the internet trying to get a copy of this album, which you bloody did, and I still don't know how you do it. I'm assuming sexual favours being traded, but I mean, when you look like that, why would you not put that on the table first? So, so yeah, so it arrived. Now, Rat Wars to me, as a quick recap, was my favourite Health album, and I basically said this is the band realising the sound that's always been there, adding in all these cool, really new kind of post-punk sort of waves that started working their way through a bit of new wave and whatnot, just started like making their sound just sound a lot more vibrant and kind of meaningful. But what destroyed me was the production. The guitar and the drum production is just fucking crushing. So if you call your album Conflict, I'm expecting that, if not more.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, Conflict DLC does not fucking disappoint. This sounds bigger. And I don't know how that's possible. I sent you a message after, I think I might have just been finishing my first listen. I was just like that. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how it can sound this massive, this thunderous, but not be destroying my headset or just constantly in the red. And that's them and the people that they choose to surround themselves with. So Conflict DLC is really interesting in that thematically it is if Rat Wars was the call, this is the answer. This one spends a lot more time playfully working around tempo. I went back to I go back to Rat Wars a lot, but I did actually do my due diligence for this recording and did albums both back to back, even though this is a stream and I hate streams. I did it. I listened back to back, and they do flow handsomely into each other. But the first thing that is noticeable at Conflict DLC is they will push the BPM on this one several times to speeds that were kind of merely touched on in Rat Wars. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there's a real sense of kind of ennui and melancholia in this, which is kind of phenomenal. If what they said in that previous PR statement that Dave read out was, oh, by the way, we are literally, the downward spiral for whatever the quote exactly was. This, in a lot of respects, reminds me of The Fragile. The follow-up album, The Fragile feels a little bit more vulnerable. It feels like a little more introspective. It feels like it's actually trying to pick the pieces up. In fact, that might be a lyric right from The Fragile. But it does kind of feel like that, and you get that here. There's a lot more somber in Conflict DLC than there was on the previous one, and there's always that kind of flow in the vocals anyway that sits over it. He has that kind of, like we mentioned it before, it's so fucking 80s. It's kind of somewhere between Tears for Fears and Depeche Mode. It just it occupies a weird ground, and that's all the way through here, all the way through. But he somehow managed to go, you know what, I could sing a sad pop song, and there's 3 absolutely incredible sad pop songs on here. When I listen to the lyrics, I am singing along with them. Whether it's on Antidote, which is, it comes in almost at the halfway mark after tracks that literally feel like they are slamming your head into a fax machine. You get this kind of quieter moment that settles things down. The next time you get it is You Died, which you died. I'm oh, fucking, I just want to sing along with it. I want to be dead too, along with them. Can we all just be dead? It's fucking awesome. It's a really, really beautiful track. And then Wasted Years as well, which kind of closes out on this. My eyes watered a little bit when I saw the 6 minute, 20-second runtime. And then you realise that about a minute and a half of that is just basically the band winding down. Yeah. In between that, you get... you know what they do that I also love? It was having such an ADHD review here because I'm just all over the place. Health do a thing that I don't know many other bands do as cheekily as they do, but as good as they do. If you listen to Rat Wars and you listen to the opener, you get battered all the way through, and then it kind of fades out, and then the track kicks back in with this Blade should be in fucking cutting people in a nightclub with blood flying everywhere. It's a total industrial banger. But it's the same track, and I think the first time I listened to the album I was oh, that's cool, that was a short track, and I was That was the same track.
Yeah.
They do that again here. A couple of times. Burn the Candles, the second track, specifically does that when it fades out and you feel like you're getting a brand new track.
Yeah.
And the thing about those brand new tracks are they're like the best riffs you've ever fucking heard. Like, you're like this, just give me 3 minutes of that. And they're like, nope, not going to happen. Not tonight. No way. There's another thing that makes Health stand out, and then I'm going to touch on a couple of songs that really just kind of showcase the incredible nature of the band, and then we'll hand over you, otherwise we'll be here for an hour. They have a wicked sense of humour, right? I don't always know how well that comes through, right? They are described as cum metal, and their t-shirts say cum metal on them, and I so badly want a Hell t-shirt, but I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old daughter as well, and a wife who works respectably in a job, and neighbours who are also respectable, and it's the first time I've ever been like, this is what my mum felt like when she had to hang out that t-shirt that said back to the primitive, fuck all your politics. I'm not hanging that out. I'll dry in the house. It never dried. They have like this wicked sense of humour. It's all over their social media. They are the meme kings. They're forever posting memes that have me howling. But even in some of the song titles, like Vibe Cop to me had me howling. Because just like, what is a vibe cop? It's just like, I don't know, just made me smile quite a bit. Right, let's touch on a couple of the big standout moments for me. This album opens with a fucking punch, right? Ordinary Loss is huge, right? And it's interesting to mention Ministry. There is a lot more Ministry in the way they open this track. That's not to say they've moved away from doing the kind of Nine Inch Nails stuff. We're going to touch on that as well, but. It hits with that. Then you get the kind of classic everything falls out. We're going to get some vocals, and it doesn't. This song never takes any time to get back to the heavy bits. You know what I mean? It picks up constantly and switches between those quieter moments and the heavier moments as a fucking jaw dropping opener. And like that's how I'm assuming that's how they're opening their set and their upcoming tour. Yeah. Because why would you not? Also has a huge chorus that was very Depeche Mode. Loved it. And the first time it comes in, it's just him and synth singing. And then when it comes in every time after that, you just get... And this is another, like... Sorry, my brain. It almost has two choruses. You know what I mean? Like, what comes after, it's an ordinary loss, and then kicks into something much more upbeat, which also feels like a chorus. So, two choruses back to back, because why the fuck not? Burn the Candles, we mentioned it. It comes out like a fucking machine gun, right? Like maybe the fastest Health song I've heard in a while, because it's just like absolutely rapid. What I love about it is the build up is just like it's taking its time. You imagine, I could picture the crowd being really into this. You know what I mean? Like just like feeling that kind of something's about to kick off. It's another huge sounding track. It's got that let's bring things out and then hit you with just this. Oh man, it's shaking your ass music. It's fucking awesome, man. It is baby making bump and grind. It's fucking incredible. And it kind of carries through that tone of just hard hitting, huge melody, loads of incredible synth work. The synth work on this, I think, is better than Rat Wars, and I loved the synth work on Rat Wars. By the time you get to a track like Trash Decade, you're back in Nine Inch Nails territory. This kind of feels like it could be somewhere between Burn and the Downward Spiral. The drums just are fucking huge and like dripping and samples, huge synths in the background. The mix is perfect, and we've mentioned obviously you go through Antidote, but before you get to Antidote you get Torture 2, which is this quiet moment that remind me of, once again, Nine Inch Nails. It reminded me a little bit of A Warm Place from the Downward Spiral. It's a beautiful track, like really, really haunting, and it comes perfectly out of Trash Decade right into Antidote. It's awesome. And then the first time I listened to this, I was like, oh right, you're coming out of Antidote into Dark Age, which is also a kind of quiet, somber track. We're at the midway point here. Are we slowing down a wee bit too much, Dave? Are we? Fuck. Right? Because this is brilliant. It's basically, if you imagine Antidote closes things down, Dark Age brings things back up. It literally reopens. I can't remember what was on what sides, but they do that thing. Is it the kickoff for the other side?
Yeah, Antidote's the end of the first side, yeah.
thematically totally makes sense. But I could have done that research and I refused to do it. So there we go. Yeah, but it's a great opener. And then Shred Envy. I mean, sounds like it could be Static X. You know what I mean? So just waiting for like, he's a loser. It's awesome. You Died is like, for me, song of the year. It's my goth industrial pop song that I've always wanted. I'm going to stand in the corner at some club looking at people I can't pull and sing that to myself. Thought Leader is another one which kind of is like infinitely happy and uplifting. Reminded me a little bit of, and you might get a kick out of this, the Birthday Massacre. Birthday Massacre are really good at having huge sections where they just play with kind of positive vibes in their songs. And that kind of Thought Leader reminded me of that. Don't Kill Yourself is an absolute banger. And then we said Wasted Years closes things off great. It's produced incredibly. I think the band just seem to be getting, like, they've been on the go for a while, and they are just getting better and better. And the question that I have is, on that last review, I said 5 stars, Dave. And I looked at you optimistically with a wee tear forming in my eye, and I was like, "Well, let me down, Davey boy." And you were like, 4.5.
Yeah.
We knew, the internet knew, everyone knew Dave was wrong. I'm wondering, on a wish and a star, Dave, if Conflict DLC addressed any of the issues that you had and maybe gave you that little something, that little 0.5 that was missing. And with that, and my throat being as deep as it is at the moment with my voice, because I've got the cold, I will hand over to you and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well, I suppose one thing did happen between Rat Wars and Conflict DLC, and that was me seeing them live for the very first time. And I don't want to gloat or
I wasn't there. Best lineup for the year, wasn't it? Like the Zencastr supporting, and
it was all right.
Ghost as well, wasn't Ghost here?
Ghost was on it as well.
Just in all the years, if I picked like a lineup of bands that I would deliberately pick just to make you unhappy, that would have been the lineup. Because you don't. 5 years ago, you wouldn't fuck with any of this.
No.
And all of a sudden, you're like, it's my jam. Like,
I'll be there.
Big Davey's cutting around like Pinhead, you know what I mean? It's like,
solo as well. Solo gigging. Yeah, that gave me another level of appreciation for this band. Just the whole thought that went into that live show, the sound, the production, the lights, everything was just like so fucking perfect. I reviewed the show. It's on the website. Like, spoiler, I got a 5. It was incredible. Like, some show, like, really. And it made me want to go back to Rat Wars even more after seeing them. So I feel like coming into this album, I was more prepared. I was more like, I know what these guys are up to. I know their shit. I'm in now. Like, I like this band. I've seen them live. They were great. I'm ready for Conflict DLC. And I even did a little pre-listen. I did a little Rat Wars listen first. I was like, you know what? Before I go into this, let's do Rat Wars again. You know, just to get that in, soak it in. So I'm ready for the Conflict DLC. And like straight away, I was like, okay, right. This is a wee bit more direct.
It's the most Hadouken of entrances ever, you know what I mean? It is like literally Hadouken!
Like, this is ramped up, and as you said, in speed. They're like, drum-wise is much more interesting, and also in heaviness. But, you know, the two albums, because I'd listened to them back to back, the two albums do have like a kindred spirit as well. Like, there's crossover DNA between those two albums. Conflict DLC does feel more intense to begin with, but also hasn't lost what makes health, in my opinion. And that's the hooks and the distinct melody is still all through this album, which is great. I said, like, on our review of Rat Wars, I said, like, Health don't fall into a lot of typical kind of industrial trappings, you know, where it's just like huge crushing sounds one after another, like, and it's so heavy, but, you know, it's a lot of that stuff is kind of lacking the substance. Health give you both. Health give you the heaviness and the substance. And this is huge, this album. Like, when Ordinary Lost like fully kicks in, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is like someone took Rat Wars and fed it steroids. It is just hits you with so much power. like you, I got like an early kind of Ministry vibe, but it does have that kind of gothy, kind of like melancholic kind of feel as well. That fusion's in there. I like something else you mentioned as well. The sounds they used on Rat Wars are really cool. They're always quite unique with what they pick sound wise. I feel like they've kind of ramped that up as well on this release. Everything they were doing sound wise, this was just making me smile. I was like, oh, that's really cool, and that's really cool. And they have this real like ability to create sounds that are so unique, so powerful, but very health. You know, like this isn't an album full of whatever synth they were using presets. You know, it's like this is like we're going to make this as unique and as like different as possible. It's going to sound like us, and they make sure every track has that. There's the unique moments on every track, but they all feel really connected as well. They give you those moments of connection in the vocals and the melody. There's stuff that you can latch onto right throughout this album, and I think for me this might be the first Health album that didn't have any, I don't want to say weakness, because the last album didn't really have weaknesses, but there's maybe moments on the last album I was like, all right, it was cool. Maybe didn't feel like it was completely necessary. I could see the purpose of some of them, like some of the kind of transitional track. All right, I can see why it was there, but maybe didn't add like much to the overall album. Here, there was none of that. This album has been trimmed of any and all fat that was there. Like there's nothing here that feels like it's filling a gap. Everything is there for a reason. The quality of the songs here are just excellent from start to finish. They somehow managed to make it more aggressive in places, leaning into like these really like harsh tones and bigger and faster drums. As I said, the drums are like kind of all over the place, kind of tempo wise. A lot of like double kicks and stuff like that as well. Like it's just very varied, and it's not an album like, and again, a lot of industrial albums do this where it's just like one note for the whole album. That like Conflict DLC is not that. It's the moods, you know, the switch up in moods are so creative on this, from being like more extreme and giving you something like really heavy into something emotional like on Antidote, or like more metallic on like Vibe Cop, which features our man again, Willie Adler from Lamb of God. But this time, like what I liked about the collab this time was weirdly, like I don't think we mentioned Rammstein. I don't think I mentioned it in the last review, but this album I actually hear it a lot more. And there's a bit of Rammstein on that track on Vibe Cop. But what I thought was really cool was the last collab that Willie did on the previous album. Still felt a bit Lamb of God. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's Willie Adler. You could tell it was him. This doesn't have that. Like, it feels like it's definitely mixed more with a more of a health kind of sound, which I really liked. And you can hear that kind of Rammstein kind of vibe coming through on, I think it was Shred Envy as well. There's a bit of that, but it's got like a bit of a kind of White Zombie, Static X kind of groove to it as well, which I thought was cool. Then there are tracks where they invert that kind of riff-led kind of heaviness and are much more kind of playful, like on Burn the Candles, which, as you mentioned, has one of the best switches on the album. That kind of fade out into that groove is unbelievable. Like, I did a double take when it happened, because like I was like, is this a new track? I was like, no, it's not. I could see the wave file on my screen. I was like, this is the same track. This is fucking amazing. And like, that's not the only time they launch into just an incredible groove on the album. The heaviness and the bass and the drums on this is so good. As I said, there's like full on double bass drum sections. Like at the end of I think it was Thrash Decade. I think there was the one that had the kind of double bass. It was like just like the equivalent of like rage tweeting at the end. It was just like fucking nuts. Vocally, want to mention the vocals on this album from Jacob. Kind of flawless, to be honest. Like, his melody is so infectious. Again, he was great on Rat Wars, but there's something about this that just kind of, I don't know, it really just kind of connected with me more. There's a real kind of like emotional kind of duality through the album where it's weird, like the vocals never dominate the mix, but like they kind of haunt it at the same time. I also can't remember if there was like, and I did listen to it again today, Rat Wars, and I don't think I noticed any like screaming or harsh vocals.
No, it was they had Godflesh.
Yeah, so Sickle, the track Sickle had...
but that's by someone else.
There was kind of gruffer vocals, but on this album, there are like screaming tones and harsher parts, which like adds to that intensity of the album, which was pretty cool as well. Flow of the album is incredible. Really loved the way these tracks just kind of bleed into one another, like seamlessly. Like, as I said, like sometimes you're thinking, I'm on the same track, I'm on a different track. But I also felt like when I was listening to it, like this would work perfectly as a live set. Like this has everything, like all the moods, all the intensities. But like as an album, it felt like it just flowed really naturally, even more so than Rat Wars. I love the fact they've split it in half again. Like Rat Wars had like the kind of two sides, and this one again after Antidote track 6, which is one of the kind of cleaner kind of tracks of the album, has a more kind of emotional core to it. I loved Antidote. I thought it was an absolutely killer track. That kind of, it's a kind of like dreamy, like Eye of the Storm kind of type track that's just, it sets up the back half of the album perfectly. And that's for me, I feel like the back half of the album is where things get really interesting. Tracks like You Died, incredible, Thought Leader. The last 4 tracks really are very smartly placed to kind of stop the album becoming too kind of overwhelming or too repetitive. Kind of like the heavier stuff on this album being like more intense, the cleaner, more melodic tracks have also went further into that hole. So it's kind of like they are like pushing both ends of the spectrum on this album. And I think the more melodic stuff they've done on this release is some of the best they've done. Like it's like that last part of the album is so fucking good. Don't Kill Yourself, which I think is the second last track. I think I played that about 20 times. Like, and we as I said, we got a streaming of this album, and I just kept like looping that track. It was so good. The synths on that track are just unbelievable. Vocal melodies really haunting, and it's only like 2.5 minutes. Like it's a short track, but they just pack it so much. And then the closing track, Wasted Years, just feels like you're kind of like staring into the void. It's like so like cinematic and apocalyptic, but weirdly comforting at the same time. Also noticed, I had a look online, I noticed that instead of side A and side B like they did with Rat Wars, this has actually got side C and side D, which again maybe confirms that, you know, that this release is linked in some way to Rat Wars or a continuation of it. And it did make sense when I listened to the kind of 2 albums together. They do work very well together from one into the other. Finally, just want to touch on the production on this, which is fucking incredible. They've stuck with Stint, aka AJ, and Lars Stalfors, but also, as I said, added in Drew Falk, who does tend to do more like metal stuff, like as he's done stuff with Knock Loose and The Muir and Chelsea Grin and Whitechapel and stuff. But the balance they've got between them is just so fucking good. Like it just suits the album sound perfectly. They've absolutely nailed the production on this, and it hits you like a hammer, like straight away. Yeah, this is brilliant. Like I really, really like this. You can see I'm smiling much more on this release. And I love Rat Wars. I thought it was great, but this one for me, I think it's the best thing they've done. It is their most aggressive, but I think it's like the most kind of self-aware as well, and weirdly hopeful at the same time. Yeah, this is killer, absolutely killer stuff. So final thing, Duncan, what are you scoring Conflict DLC?
I now have a new Health album that I love more than the previous Health album, so this is my new favourite Health album, so it's a 5.
I'm going to join you there. This is a 5 from you as well.
Fucking time. Vindication.
David doesn't usually do 5s for industrial albums, but it's happening more regularly these days, Duncan.
Dave's an industrial fan.
Yeah, this is killer. Like, this is absolutely killer. And I honestly, I can't wait till it comes out. I can just play it on my device, like, whenever I want, and not have to be attached to my fucking laptop. Conflict DLC out on December 11th on Loma Vista Recordings. Check these guys out. Check out the links, the Bandcamp. Like, I'll stick a single in there as well. Like, what an album. Welcome back, guys. And if you're back in the UK, you come back to Glasgow. With both of us will be there this time.
Do it when I'm not on holiday. I'll send you a list of when I'm going to be in.
Get your annual leave in, Duncan, right That is a review. Thanks for checking it out. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.